a delicate balance. Dipankar Dasgupta. Several years ago, on June 1, 2006, this column carried a story explaining the rise of the American dollar since the 40s of the previous century. In 1944, the United States of America, France, and 41 other countries had agreed in the Bretton Woods Conference in Britain to accept the US dollar as a universal means for settling international debts. The dollar in turn was linked to gold priced at $35 an ounce, and a carte blanche of sorts was issued permitting the US to print as much paper currency as it pleased so long as it stood ready to exchange it for gold at the agreed price. The result was that the US built up an enormous balance of trade deficit supported by an unequally enormous dollar supply propped up by its Bretton Woods status. Around the late 1960s, however, the world began to suspect that Fort Knox in the US lacked the gold reserves required to back up the supply of American dollars, and it was the French President Charles de Gaulle who demanded that the US settle its balance of trade deficit with France with the gold equivalent of its dollar value. The US refused to comply, of course, and then the US President Richard Nixon ordered a closure of the gold window in 1971. It was around this time that the first oil shock occurred too, leading the US dollar to brink of disaster thanks to financial wizards and possibly the US military might. However, a solution to the US trade deficit problem was found. The Organization of the Petroleum or Exporting Countries agreed to accept US currency as the only means of payment for oil, converting thereby a gold-backed dollar to one that was supported by oil. Consequently, the US went back merrily to printing its dollars, which the oil-thirsty world was more willing to hold on to. Although the international financial system today is far more complex, oil continues to be tied to US dollar, and a US-led sanction or fatwa, if you will, against any country constitutes in order to the world's banks to refuse dollar transaction with it. Iran attracted such a transaction till 2015 as punishment for pursuing a weapons-grade nuclear program, being primarily an oil exporter and dollar being the only currency with which oil exports could be paid for. The Iran's economy had suffered dearly on this account till the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action led the former US President Barack Obama, members of the United Nations Security Council, and Germany and the European Union eased matters for Iran in exchange for its promise to hold the nuclear program on lease. The American President Donald Trump has abruptly pulled out of the JCPOA now and reimposed sanctions on Iran, extending them to all other countries that are audacious enough to engage in economic transactions with Iran. These include France, guilty of Airbus deals and total gas extraction treaty worth billions of dollars, Germany standing accused of the Volkswagen sale, and other countries too, including India. The remaining signatories to the JCPOA as well as the International Atomic Energy Agency do not seem to be entirely convinced that Iran has violated the terms of the treaty.